Hello everyone, welcome. I have a double page scrapbook layout for you today, and I'm going to be using a few papers from this new collection called Hobby Haven. Now you're getting a sneak peek if you're watching this video when it comes out live. This is an online exclusive that is going to be available November 4th, so pretty soon. I got the whole suite, so there's a stamp and die set. You know me and my tags, so I really love the tags, and I thought, I might as well get these as well. I like this. Sentiments are a little bit different. Deep breath, you've got this, you're the best. So happy to have you in my life. You deserve all the good things, and friends like you are golden. So little different, sometimes we all end up with a lot of thank yous and happy birthdays. So it's nice that, you've got some different sentiments there. And then of course the tags you can use with these or, all sorts of different things. So we'll take a closer look at those later. We've got some coordinating bling, and I like that they're kind of flattened on the top, so they're not going to, put too much denting in your page protectors. We got some cool ribbon to go along with it in this nice little green and white chevron, and then the paper. So you'll see why they call it Hobby Haven. I've already got them all flipped over. And I love that they have a tone on tone, kind of just more neutral pattern to coordinate with the hero pattern, as we like to call them. This one's all about baking. It's definitely giving me the cozy vibes. Maybe, doing some holiday baking, or maybe you like to bake all year round. I tend to do more baking when the weather gets cooler and the days get shorter. But there's like a coffee espresso machine, coffee cup, and beans. That just made me happy, and I love tea, so I just love the coziness of this. And then mixers and cookies, and really there's like a colander and pie, sprinkles, so many different baking icons on here. It's just super cute. I really love that. Of course, I love green. And then this one is also giving me some cozy vibes. I just want to grab a good book and sit in one of those comfy chairs, and I love plants, so that makes me happy. We have another just simple neutral pattern here. This is the opposite side. I think these would be really fun to fussy cut and like have a little scene. So you could use it as pattern paper, but I'm just loving the idea of cutting these out. And look at just the plants on the shelf. Doesn't it just look like a relaxing place? And then this one, for my book lovers out there, I have a huge collection of book theme stamps. I love to read. And I, again, think that this is just super cool. So if your hobby is reading, or maybe you keep a book journal, this would be really fun. So we've got just like a splattery, pebbly pattern on the opposite side. And then again, these would be great for fussy cutting too, if you didn't want to use this as a background paper, but lots of cute little books there. Now, this particular hobby is all about sewing. So we've got all sorts of different little sewing icons. There's pattern books and yarn and sewing machine and some different threads and an iron. I haven't seen my iron in a very long time. There is one in the house, but yeah, it doesn't get much attention. There's a tape measure there and just cross stitch. It's really cute. So, and I really like the colors. The colors, this is my jam. Anything with this turquoisey color, and then I like the dark browns and the little pop of, we have a warm kind of orangey tone here. I'll have to look and see what those exactly are. Actually, let me grab this. I put my paper packs in the sleeves here. So the colors are basic beige. Oh, that's Cajun Craze. So this orangey color is Cajun Craze. And then we have Coastal Cabana, which is this one. And then there's bits of yellow, Daffodil Delight, Early Espresso, Garden Green, Lost Lagoon. Could be Lost Lagoon. Mossy Meadow, Pecan Pie, Petal Pink, and Secret Sea. So really great color palette there. So love that one. I don't sew. I don't do a lot of, I've sewn curtains. I can do that. I can sew on a button, and I can hem a pair of pants. So I'm not completely lost in the sewing department. Now this one I really like, and I think it's fun and unique. This paper, being honest, it's not my favorite. I think in just a little strip, it would be, but as a whole, I think it just needs to be an accent piece. But this one is all about self-care. So going to the spa, or maybe a girls' night out. I got sucked into a Mary Kay party the other night. I'm going to tell you more about that. That's not what I'm scrapbooking, but that I did get pictures from that evening that would go along with this. I'm going to put one up on the screen right here so you can all get a good laugh. But anyway, I am going to be using this paper here. And I like that it's just, there's the eye mask and citrus rounds and candles and little lotions and potions and scrubby things and facials. And I just think it's really cute. This looks like a nice, maybe matcha facial scrub. Is that a thing? It seems like it could be a thing. They put coffee in body scrubs, so I'm gonna go with matcha on that one. There's like a little, what do they call those? Like a gua sha tool. Anyway, let me show you my pictures that I'm going to be scrapbooking with this one, and I think it's going to be really fun. Oh, wait, I almost forgot. You get 2 sheets of punch outs. They're all popping out of here, so I put them on my Versamat because I didn't want to lose them. But this is your little lotions and potions bottle lineup here for your self-care paper. You get 2 of each. And then there's Sprigs. These are white, so you could leave them white or you could color them, which is really cool. You could just slap a little inking on there with your marker or an ink pad. You've got some, your coffee machine. There's a mixer, we've got books, we've got plants, a little bit of everything to, tie into the different hobbies and the different papers. Here's like an easel and then an apron for the baking. This little coffee, I'm forgetting what these are called. When we traveled through Italy, this is how they do their coffee over there. So it was fun to try a different method of making coffee. I do a pour over here at my house, but that was quite tasty to brew the coffee that way. Little bookshelf with, here, let me pull that one out because this guy is super cute. Plants and books on the bookshelf, little cactus guy there. So anyway, lots of fun punch outs, coffee cup, lots of books, some tags. There's a little tea bag and then a to-go coffee cup, more books, and just fun little things here. Some cross stitching. Yeah. All right. Let me grab my photos. In May of 2024, we went to Mexico on a Close to My Heart incentive trip. And on the last morning, they had a spa. It's like an all-inclusive resort. They had a full-service spa, and we thought, you know what, let's treat ourselves. So this is a picture of the outside of the spa. There's my husband and I in the bubbly tub. So it was cool. You went in and they like took you through different stages. So you started out in this giant jacuzzi, and then they take you to this cold room where it's really, really cold. So like warm and then cold therapy. And then, well, this is us in the beginning before we got, our spa treatment here. They put you in these robes, and then there's the big hot tub there. It's just really pretty with the lights on the ceiling. So then from this cold room, you go into a series of tubs. So they're like a spa and they drop in temperature. Now, I don't know if you're into the whole cold plunge thing. I did it just for the experience, but I'm like, nope, get me back out of this cold water. And then they take you in a little golf cart to the beach in this elevated tower, so you feel like you have some privacy, and you get a massage with the ocean waves in the background. You guys, it was amazing. So if you look at these photos, there was a lot of greenery, and it's very tropical in Mexico, and I just think this is going to be absolutely perfect. If we bring back in this one, this has got the sewing icons on the other side, but that is like the color of the spa water. And then I really like the aspect of the self-care icons here. I think that ties into the whole spa experience. And then what else is going to go great with these? You can see we have a lot of browns in here, and this is very rustic, this massage area. It's like I don't know the name of it, but there's logs. It's very rustic structure. So I'm thinking Country Woods wood grain pack to the rescue. You guys, this is seriously my favorite paper pack. It's just the best mix-in when you need a little something. And you can see how those browns tie in beautifully. And this is Early Espresso, which is a coordinating color in this collection. So you can see that. And I think all of a sudden here we have the makings of a cool layout. Now, I used a lot of this in my Mexico album so far, and I kind of think that might work in a small dose. So you have a lot of the colors. This does have the blue tones in it too. You can see the blue, and then of course the peaches and just the wood grain. So maybe we can incorporate a little bit of this in, but let's clear this out of the way and jump right into today's project. I almost ran out of white paper. I couldn't hardly believe it. So I was on my last 2 pieces here and my order arrived. I ordered a bunch of stuff when they had the free shipping, and I got a whole stack of white paper. and I was kind of spoiled because I had stocked up on it with a friend close to my heart, and yeah, I just finally went through all of that paper, so don't want that to happen. That's like a craft room crisis to run out of white paper, right? So this is what I'm thinking. I kind of played around with this already. I'm thinking I need to cut these. So I collage my photos. I use an app called Printicize. It's not perfect. I have a full video tutorial on the app. It's a one-time purchase. It's a couple bucks, and you can do any configuration you want. So this is a 4x6 paper, and I put a 3x4 and a 3x3, but I make mine a little smaller. So if this was a true 3x4, there'd be no white border. So to get a little bit of that white border, I make it 3.7 by 2.7. So my square, if I want a 3x3, it is 2.7 by 2.7, and that gives me a nice white border. So the reason why I say this print to size app isn't perfect is because if you're trying to print a 4x6, sometimes it doesn't actually print what it looks like on the screen. So on your phone screen, you may think, oh, I've got this perfect white border, and then you print it out and it's off on the bottom. I rarely print 4x6 photos, so it's not an issue for me. And my photos are, and this is because of the format the iPhone takes them in, so 4x5.25. So I line it up here on the sides and top, and then I just trim off the bottom. But if you were trying to do a 4x6, you might not end up with a white border on the bottom. So I've kind of reached out to support and let them know, hey, what's up with that? But like I said, it's a virtual, it's a one-time fee of just a few dollars, to where many photo editing apps are much more expensive and require monthly fees. So I kind of put up with its little quirks. Okay, so we have our little photos here. I always like to print with the white border because you don't have to layer it on white paper. So what I'm thinking is like a little collage type deal over here. And then I have exactly 3 photos over here. So I could do something similar. And I like that this big photo over here is portrait and this one's landscape. So it gives it a little bit different shape. So now we can just bring in our paper layers and see. I can already tell you, I know that this one is definitely a busier pattern. So this is something I like to do in small doses, right? So I'm kind of thinking, since we have our photos in this center cluster here, that we can put our wood grain, the majority of the wood grain, in the center. So I'll trim this down. We can have that on the top and bottom. And sometimes you can bring in like, your other piece and see, oh, what's that going to look like? And I'm liking that. Maybe we can even do just 1 inch. And then just for interest, I don't want a whole bunch of this, but you can see like the color's perfect. And it kind of reminds me of like water drops, right? So I'm thinking of maybe just a strip, and it's kind of hard to tell. You could always grab some cardstock strips and lay some cardstock back there to kind of see what it's going to look like. But maybe if we just do just a strip of it, just enough to give it a pop of color. And then I'm thinking of maybe just a teeny strip of this. I don't want this directly next to that paper. If I use this, because there are some differences in the greens and whatnot, I think it'd look good coordinating away from that paper. So I am going to go ahead and chop this down, and then we'll just run it all the way across. So let me do that, and I will be right back. Got a block here holding my paper so it doesn't go cascading to the floor. So this will be nice too, because I really won't be using much paper. And since we're not seeing the background, I'm going to go find myself some uglier paper and save my white. I decided to use up some yellow. I don't think yellow is ugly. I actually think it's a beautiful color, but I don't use it very often, and I have quite a bit of it. So we're going to use yellow for our base. And then my pieces, they're all 12 inches long. This one is 2 inches. And the bottom I cut at 1 1/4. I like to give myself a little bit of extra room in case I want to adjust things. This one here is 3 inches, our wood grain paper. And then this one is 2.5. Yep, 2.5 inches. And then I cut this one at 3 inches here. 3 1/4 actually. So that fits perfectly, but I had this extra piece and I like to overlap things. So now I can just barely kind of overlap things. And that way we will be sure there is no yellow peeking out. And then this one, I'm thinking, I'm still not sure about this piece, so I might wait on this one, but I think this is the direction I want to go. I'm going to add a little early espresso to this pattern paper, and then the Coastal Cabana water splattery paper. I'll actually take the same Coastal Cabana ink and ink up the edges of that one. And then I will get everything adhered down, going all the way across the layout. And now we can bring our photos back in here. And then I have another idea I'm kind of considering for pattern paper. So let me get these situated and then I will grab that. It's something I've been using with my other Mexico layouts as well. So what I'm thinking is this woven textures paper pack. So this has got great, well, textures, hence the name, but this is just very kind of beachy looking to me, this like woven basket weave, and then this one's like a linen, and just I love the colors. And then I have one from close to my heart as well, and I just happened to notice this strip. So it's very similar to some of the Stampin' Up paper packs. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of these to kind of go over that transition between the two pattern papers. I realize this is a lot of pattern papers going on, but this one reads as a neutral and so does the wood grain background. So I think it's working. For embellishments, I grabbed the Notes and Totes bundle. I like this sentiment, relax and enjoy. And then in here is the cutest beach bag. I've definitely used this before, but I'm going to cut this out of this same woven pattern paper there. And I should have showed you this. So what I was doing to kind of highlight these edges is fold it on the score lines and then just lightly ink it up to add some character and dimension to this beach bag. And you can make this dimensional. I'm just doing the front to have it on the layout. So then for the bottom and the little straps here, I cut that from Pecan Pie. That's this piece right here. And then there's different handles. So I went ahead and cut this one. I will go ahead and get those all glued down. And I think I want that right there. So I cut a couple from Petal Pink, a couple of the bottles that go with that set. And then again, we have our piece from the punch outs and then relax and enjoy. And yes, I did fussy cut that out. I wanted a little wordy bit. That's this one again right here. And then here are those different bottles. So there's seashells and sunscreen bottles and lotion pumps. And then you see leaves over there. I wanted to try those out and I like it. So I cut a bunch more. And these are from the Thankful Garden Stamp and Die set. It's this sprig here. And then I also went into my stash and grabbed a bunch of these tropical like monstera from Sprigs and Leaves from Close to My Heart. Now this has like a top layer. So let me kind of bump this up. And what I'm thinking, I cut the other leaves from the Thankful Garden set in Mossy Meadow, and then I cut the Monstera leaves from Garden Green. So now I have a Mossy Meadow marker. This is a great way if you don't have a lot of different cardstocks, just take your marker and alter the color. So I wanted a little bit more depth between or contrast. And now these, because the top is Mossy Meadow, it ties in with the other leaves. So I went ahead and glued the rest off camera and we can start building up our embellishment clusters. And I'm just, roughly going to start with kind of the rule of three in the visual triangle, and then we can adjust from there. I should say the visual triangle with my leaf clusters because I still have that beach bag, which is technically a fourth embellishment cluster, but I'm totally okay with that. The rules are just guidelines, right? So this is definitely adding the tropical flair, and although there's no monstera leaves in the paper, there are leaves and greenery, but this leaf here does kind of match the one in the paper and why I chose it. I created my title on Cricut using print and cut, and then I have these adorable little things. So I just typed in the word spa, and all of these popped up and they matched the layout. So I decided to use these as little embellishments. And the candle cluster and the little hot stone stack is not really showing up against the background. So let's revisit that in just a moment. I that needs help. But I also have Happy Hibiscus, and in here I've used this quite a bit. So I have a whole bunch of stamped and die cut images ready to go. And they're in different colors. Some are pink, some are more of the corally color. So let me just go ahead and I'm going to take just a moment and pull out all of the ones that match the layout. I have some stamped in two tones, and then I have these die cut from the coordinating die cut set. And yeah, let's just see if we can add these around the layout. So for my Cricut title, the word tropical is from a font called Hello Autumn that I got from DaFont.com. And then I cannot pronounce the other one. It's a Cricut font, Avshalom, I think. I'll type them out in the description box below so you can refer to those. So back to the Mary Kay party story, it was still fun. I went with my son's girlfriend Desiree and her sisters and mom. And what we were thinking, it was going to be kind of a girls' night out type thing because the lady that invited us kind of pitched it as if it was, you know, how like cosmetology students have to do like hands on and get so many hours and they'll do free stuff, right? Just for the experience. So that's what I thought it was, like a cosmetology thing, because she said free facials and all this stuff. So we thought, oh, let's go. It'll be nice. No, it was a Mary Kay party, and they were wanting to, sell product, which was fine. But it was just, I wasn't expecting that. But it's always nice to spend time with my son's girlfriend and her family. So it was still a win win. Plus, we got some funny pictures that will also go along with this self care paper. So I'm still struggling with the candle and the hot rocks. You know what I need? My own, what I do all the time. Use a circle to ground those embellishments. So this is the circle from the Happy Hibiscus, and yep, that'll fit. So I cut a white circle, and then we'll just layer these little guys right on there. And now you can see them and appreciate them and all the cute little detail. So again, these are from Cricut. I will try to find the image items and leave those listed below. And they were just print and cut. So you print them out on your printer, and then Cricut cuts out the shapes for you. So you have these cute little images. And I found them just by searching under spa. So this was our last full day in Mexico. So we thought this would be a great way to end the day. I do want to add this little purse scarf over here, and I'm going to add some green to this cluster. We've got green in all the other clusters, so I thought this will be a good way. I'm going to use these flowers and add a little pattern to this purse scarf. Anyway, it was our last morning. We decided to go really early in the morning when it first opened because then you just get it out of the way and you have the whole rest of the day and you don't have to be anywhere. Um, it was definitely a great way to start our day of just relaxing and unwinding. I'm going to ink up the edge. I think that's secret C in there. So I'm going to roll with it and just give this a little definition. But like I said in the beginning, we started in the bubbly spa and then the cold room and then the cold plunge tubs and then a sauna. We did go to a sauna. I just don't have any pictures because I didn't want to take my phone in there. Anyway, it was a lot of fun sharing this experience with my husband. It was new. We've had massages before, but nothing like this. So it was fun to experience this together. And I also, if you're wondering where I'm putting my journaling, I've got this other picture. It's not the most flattering. I didn't really want it on the front of the layout, but I wanted to include it. It's in the cold room. And so I'll put that one of myself on the bottom. And then my journaling is going to go on the opposite side. So this will flip up. So I want to make sure my journaling is right side up. And then these will go into a flip flap. As I said, it was super early in the morning. And for whatever reason, I woke up very puffy. So you look close in that photo. I just look very puffy. But anyway, I still want it in the album. So flip flops are always a great solution for those not so great photos. I will wait till I put this in my album and I will attach it to the top of the page protector. But for now, when I take the still shots to share on social media, I think I'll leave the picture of the spa right there. And then we have these coordinating dots. They're earthy matte dots. And I want to put these in the center of the flowers. And then I realized I don't have any of these little flowers over on the left cluster. So I'm going to add some over there as well. I'm putting the small dot on the small flower and the bigger dot on the slightly larger flower. And let me just hold this up so you can see all of the cuteness in that paper and how those clusters came together. Really love that beach bag. So cute. My friend Jama did this also, and she's already scrapbooked her photos. So if you want to check out her video, I'll have it linked in the description box below, along with everything I used and all of the information for the titles and all. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you very soon here on YouTube.